Welcome back, VA user. In today's session, we are going to cover accounting schema. And some of the versions of the VA, it is also known as accounting works. So what's basically the accounting schema? So the accounting schema is nothing, but it refers to a set of rules and configuration that define how financial accounting is organized and managed within the VA system. It serves as a framework for linking the chart of account, defining posting controls, specifying accounting rules, and defining base currency and linking the default codes. So it is one of the area that you can call it as heart of Vienna when we are talking about the financial management into the Vienna Advantage, because that is the particular place which identifies which are going to be the costing methods, costing levels, which is going to be the accounting dimensions, which are going to be the chart of account, what are all the default codes would be utilized, and some of the conditions are there at this particular window. Like if you don't want to post the PO variances, so there would be a control available here that you don't want to post the PO variances. Okay. Similarly, if you don't want to post the intercompany, there is a control available at this particular window not to post intercompany. So such a kind of controls are available at this particular window. So let's move on to the system and we'll see what's basically the accounting schema or the accounting book. Okay. So I'm at my landing page. We just need to search the accounting schema at this window. So if you are using a different version, then you just need to search the accounting book. So here is the accounting schema. Okay. Now at the level of the accounting schema, you would be able to see the various things here where the name is defined, and the accounting schema gets generated as a result of the tenant generation process. But we need to set up the other remaining things. Okay. So by default, you would be see whether the gap, that is generally accepted accounting principles. So there are certain values would be there. So it is an informative field. You just need to set it up whatever is feasible for your organization. You select it here. Thereafter, there is a commitment type. So into the VA system, there is a commitment postings also available for the budgeting, or you can say it is encumbrance accounting. Okay. So if you want to enable the PO posting, the sales order posting, the vendor RMA posting, the customer RMA, the requisitions, then you just need to select commitment and reservation or the commitment only. Okay. So you would be able to define your commitment type accordingly. I don't want to use this, so I'm just selecting none. Thereafter, the costing method. Yes, I want to choose different costing method instead of the standard costing, since standard costing would be utilized by the manufacturing units most of the time. But I just want to use the weighted average cost. That is the weighted average invoice. Okay. So I just selected my costing method as weighted average cost. Thereafter, I want my costing level should be organization based instead of client based, because if you select the client based, it means if you have multiple legal entities, then the cost for the product remains common for all the other legal entities as well, even all the legal entities used to purchase the item. So I don't want so. I want that which organization is procuring a certain inventory at which rate or which cost. I just want to trace it up. That's why I will set my costing level as organization. Okay. By default, there is a costing type, so you need not to do anything. You just need to select your currency. So my base currency is INR. So I will select my base currency INR. So I will say INR. Then if you don't want to post the peer variances, as I have mentioned, then you just need to check on this. I don't want to post the peer variances, so I will check on this. Thereafter, I want to post intercompany if I have some other organization. So automatic period control is here one of the important thing. If you have the automatic period control is off, it means you want to check your periods basically, whether the period is open or not. So I will uncheck this. The reason behind I want that while processing a certain transaction, the system will check my periods instead to check the history and the future dates here. Okay, if I will check on this, then my transaction lies between this range, then the system will not check the period whether it is opened or not open. Okay, so I will uncheck this, and I think rest of the things are all well. The account localization, I just need to link it up because this is the rules that needs to be executed while posting a certain transaction. So I just link this. I will save and say okay. Now next is for which organization it would be this accounting schema is applicable for. So it is applicable for my all the accountings, all the organizations. So I will select this. So here you would be able to see this is the setup I did, which are all the accounting dimensions required. So by default, 4 accounting dimensions came as a result of the generation process. So organization is all well. Now you can see there is no chart of account is linked. So I just need to link my chart of account. So ABC, and there is a code called default. So I will link a default code here and I will save. If I want to enable further, then I would be able to enable further. So for the product, it is standard is available. I just need to link this. Then with the next one, I just need to move on. The business partner standard is linked. If you want to enable certain other dimensions, so these are all the dimensions would be there. We'll discuss about the user element, the other dimensions as well later on. Right now, we are going to set up these 4 dimensions as mandatory dimension. So once it is done, then I need to move on to the general ledger, and I need to link my some default codes. These are the codes that would be utilized and utilized by the system while posting, like the retained earning, the income summary, intercompany due to, intercompany due from. PPV offset nowadays not used by the system, so it is a mandatory field. We just need to link it up. Similarly, the commitment offset, we just need to link it up, but it is not mandatory. Okay, so let's move on. And if I want that balancing in case there is no rule is matching, but still I want to post a certain voucher, and the voucher has to post with the suspense balances is okay, and I just need to say okay. Now click here and we'll link our suspense balancing code. Okay, so here is the star. I just want to use the star since I wanted that if some other organization would come, then I need not to define it once again. Okay, and system even not allows you to define again here. Okay, then I just want to do the currency balancing. So I will move on here and I will search currency balancing. So let me link it here. Organization is star. Then I will move on to the retained earning, star. So, okay, save, okay. So let me quickly link it up all these. Now I have linked all the ledger codes. You would be able to see unrealized gain and loss presently is not functional, would get functional later on. Okay, so you would be able to see the general ledgers are generated here. Okay, now we just need to link the default accounting. The default accounting report presently is not functional. So let's see how we can link the default account with our accounting book. Okay, either you can do it, the first way is I will go and I will search, select, and I will enter the name. Okay, and I can do it one by one manually. Or the other way out is you can open the COA form once again, and at this particular level click on this icon and select your accounting schema. Your chart of account and the other things gets populated automatically by the system. In case not, it means your chart of account is not binded with the accounting schema. So it is important to bind your chart of account first. Okay. Now, in case your localization is not linked, you would be able to select here from the drop down because we did the linkage with the accounting schema, so it is there. And then you will say auto link. Okay. Now, how this auto link is, again, there is a logic defined at the level of the account default windows. So we'll discuss when we will define the accounting rules. Okay. So there would be a certain video I will prepare and will showcase how this auto linkage would happen. Now, if I will refresh this, you will see most of my ledger codes gets linked. Wherever the ledger code is not linked, we just need to link them manually, since at the level of the accounting default, it is not properly binded. Okay, so I will say okay, and now move on to the accounting book and will refresh here. You would be able to see all the accounts gets linked automatically, and rest you just need to do the linkage yourself manually wherever it is empty. Okay, so that is how you would be able to set up your accounting book into the Vienna Advantage. Let us know in case if you have any kind of doubts regarding setting up the accounting book or the accounting schema. We'll for sure give you the answers on that. Till then, bye. Welcome back, VA user. In today's session, we are going to learn how to set up the charges into the VA system. To set up the charges into the VA system, there is a window called charges, and in that particular window, we would be able to define the charge. Now, what's basically the charges? In terms of the financials, charges are nothing but these are the expense codes. So let's see the formal definition of the charges. The charges are generally expenses incurred by the organization, like fuel charges, freight charges, custom charges, vehicle expenses. So all these are known as charges. Into the VA system, you can generate all the account type codes as charge as per the requirement. You can create a customer prepayment and able to link the liability code, while in case of the employee prepayment, then you can link the asset code. It all depends based on the requirement in the project, which kind of charges to be configured into the system. So these are basically the charges. Now, how to configure these charges into the VA system? Let's move on to the VA system and we'll see how to create the charges. So I'm at my landing page. I have logged in with the ABC admin. To create the charges, there are two ways into the VA system. The first way is you just need to create the charges manually, while the other way you would be able to automatically create the charges. To create the charges manually, you just need to open the charge window, click onto the charge window, click on new record, and let's say I want to create vehicle expenses or charges. So I will enter my name, I will enter a little description associated to this charge. If you want to print some description, then you would be able to enter the print description. The charge type you need to select as others. There are some other charges which are used into the HR and the payroll. Withholding category will take care withholding category into some other video where we'll showcase you how to set up the withholding and how the withholding works into the VA system. The text category you need to select from the drop down. If the charge has a fixed amount, you would be able to fix that amount at this charge master window. Now, if this charge belongs to the shipping charge, then this checkbox we need to check on. If this charge belongs to the advance charge like employee prepayment, a vendor prepayment, or a customer prepayment, then you need to mark it as advance charge. Price includes text refers that the prices contains the taxes as well when you are selecting the charges at the transactional window. The organization, you can select the respective organization if the charge refers to a respective organization. Otherwise, you would be able to select the star organization. It means that this charge is visible to the other legal entities as well. So save this. So once you save the charge, as a result, the system generates the accounting defaults from the accounting schema, which means the system copies all the ledger codes from the accounting schema or the accounting books. Now we need to update the ledger codes manually. So for the charge expense, my charge says that it is vehicle expenses. So I will select my vehicle expenses as expense charge and I will save this. Okay. The system also asks you about the charge revenue. You need to link the charge revenue because there are cases when you create a single charge, but it can be used in either way. One of the good example is basically the rent. Now the rent can be an income or can be an expense. So if you want to use such a kind of charges within the system where you want to create a single charge but can be used onto the AR and the AP side, in that case you need to define the charge revenue code as well. So I'm not defining here. I would define a single one as the expenses only. So let's say vehicle expenses, and I will save this. There is a charge commitment is also system would ask you. If you have enabled the commitment, then commitment accounting, then you just need to link the charge commitment. I haven't enabled the charge commitment, so hence I'm not going to link anything at this particular place. Even I would be able to delete this. So that is how you would be able to configure the charges, and this is the way how you can generate the charges. You can either import the charges in one shot using the Excel import utility. I will explain the Excel import utility later on in some other video. Okay, so this is how you would be able to configure the charge manually. Now when the case comes that you want to generate the charges automatically from the chart of account, in that case you just need to search generate charges. So there is a form. Onto the left side, the system will ask you the value or the name if you want to generate a new ledger code. So you would be able to create the new ledger code by using create new button. Onto the right side, all the ledger codes which are available into the chart of account, you would be able to see all those ledger codes. Here the expense codes represents with this checkbox, whichever is marked as true are the expense codes into the chart of account. Let's suppose I want to create some charges, let's say interest expense, mortgage interest expense, then uninsured casualty loss. All these I want to create a charge in one shot. What I need to do, I just need to select all those chart of account, and I will say create charges from the accounts and say OK. So the system gives me the message that the charge created. Just close it and we'll move on to the charge, and I would be able to see all the charges automatically generated by the system. So you would be able to see that the system generates the charge in such a way. Now move on to the account default, and you would be able to see that the system copies the default code, and you just need to update this. Into the upcoming release of the Vienna Advantage, the system will generate the charges from that particular form, and the system will link the relevant ledger code accordingly with the charges. So that is how you would be able to create the charges into the system. I hope this session would be useful for you and you would be able to configure the charges into the VA system. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.